I just also want to point out that Bentley is laying right here. Say, hey, Bentley. He's a wee molly. Hey guys, Avery here, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books I ended up reading in January and what I plan to read in February. Now, January felt like it was a solid year long. I don't know about some of you, but that's just the way it felt to me, and it was a little bit of a struggle if I'm being honest, but yeah, let's jump right into this video. So I wanted to start out and say that my Goodreads challenge for the year is to read 40 books, and the reason that I put it at 40 is because I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself to read like 100 books or even 50 or 60. I'm also taking 6 classes in college, and it's my second semester of my junior year, so it's a little bit hectic for me right now, and I'm taking 6 classes like I mentioned, which is 18 credit hours, and that's the max you can take without having an advisor or dean sign off on you to take more classes. And on top of that, I'm working 21 hours a week, and I have an internship. So, I mean, I'm a little busy, so I didn't want to overpack my schedule. So there's that. But without further ado, let's just talk about the books that I ended up reading in the month of January. So, yay! The first book I have to share with you guys is The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. This is the first book in the Eldest Curses series, and I think it's actually a trilogy, but I'm not entirely sure. And I believe this takes place between City of Glass and... is it City of Lost Souls that comes next? Anyway, it takes place in the middle of the Mortal Instrument series, and we follow Magnus and Alec as they take what they hope to be a romantic vacation in Europe, but it doesn't turn out that way. So yeah. And while I love Magnus and Alec, I ended up DNFing this book about, I don't know, 100 or 200 pages in, just because I wasn't as engrossed as I normally am in a Cassandra Clare. I'm so sorry that was shaking. Bentley, lay down. Stop messing up my pillows. You're such a brat. Alright. Okay, sorry about that, but like I was saying, I did DNF this book about 100 or 200 pages in. Not because I didn't like it, it was just, it wasn't holding my attention like a normal Cassandra Clare book does, because of the fact that I already kind of know where their relationship ends up. If I'd had this when the Mortal Instrument series was still being published, I think it would have felt a lot different. But since I know kind of where the relationship is in current time, after reading Ghosts of the Shadow Market and The Dark Artifices, I don't find this as gripping, and I just found myself really not wanting to read it and not enjoying it. So I DNF'd it, and I feel really bad about it. It's just, this isn't for me, at least not at this point in time. Like I said, I would have much preferred to read this before we got like the Dark Artifices and Tales of the Shadow. That's wrong. I almost said Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy. I meant Ghosts of the Shadow Market. I think this would have felt a lot different because I would have been like, oh, where's the relationship going? Because it basically is just like the relationship and, you know, all of the Shadowhunter things and the relationship between a Downworlder and a Shadowhunter and all that fun jazz. So I felt like it wasn't something that I was going to be super interested in just because of that timing issue for publication. But I do love Magnus and Alex, so it had nothing to do with their personalities. It's just I kind of already know where their relationship is going, so I didn't have much interest in this. But yeah. The next book I have to share with you guys is one that I started to read at the end of 2019, and I still haven't finished it, but I'll get into that in a second. And that book is King of Fools by Amanda Foody. I love Ace of Shades. I really, 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 really loved Ace of Shades. This book, you can still see my bookmark in it. I am currently on page, I just threw my, just kind of threw my bookmark across the room, but it's fine. I'm on page 358 of this book, and I'm going to put it down for now just because I'm kind of frustrated at the moment with the characters and the pacing of the story, and I feel like I want to pause on it and finish it when I have more time to actually finish it because it's a chunky book. And I'm on page 358. There are almost 600 pages. Yeah, 599 pages total. So it's been taking me so long that I feel like I need a refresher, and I'm a little frustrated with the characters, mainly Jack and a little bit of Levi, but I will say that I love Anne and Grace and, oh my gosh, what's her name? Anne and Grace and Lola? Yeah, Lola. I love them. I love their relationship, and if you have read Ace of Shades, you know what I'm talking about, but I really like the girl gang in the story. It's really nice, but I'm just really frustrated with a couple of things that are happening, but I'm still excited. I will read this eventually. I just don't think that I will get to finish it in January. So I might just put it down and wait until like the summer when I have a little bit more time and reread the whole thing so I can kind of read it in one go and fully form my thoughts on it. But yeah, I really love this world and I will get to it eventually. I just think I'm going to put it down for now and pick it up when my mood shifts back to wanting to read this, because I'm such a mood reader, but also I have so much going on that my mood shifts before I can finish a book. It is so annoying, but yeah, that's not the fault of this book. It's just me, honestly. It's not you, book. It's me. I'm sorry. I'll get to you eventually, especially since I want to read Queen of Volts, which comes out, I think, this year. Oh my gosh, I need to finish you so soon. Anyway, this next book. The next two books on this list are actually ones that I read on ebook, as you can tell by my glittery case. I have the Nook tablet 10.1 inch, in case you were wondering, and I know all those details because I recently bought myself one with the Christmas bonus that I got at work, and I am obsessed with it, and I blew through 2 books in the past month through my Kindle app, so that's fun. And those books were, hold on, I'm waiting for it to load. Come on, thank you. So, as you can see, I have 3 books that I've purchased on the Kindle app. I have some on my Nook one, but these are the ones that I've read this month. And the first one being Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. But if you don't know, this book is about the first son of the President of the United States. And he hates the Prince of Wales, whose name is Henry. And they don't like each other. They never have. And something happens and it's a disaster, so now they have to pull off this kind of PR stunt and act like they like each other to kind of avoid this whole clash between their countries. And it's really good. I really like the political parts of it. I love the romance. It's so good. There's so many different layers to it. And the reason why I liked this so much is because it didn't just revolve around their romance. It had to do a lot with politics and, you know, finding out who you are and et cetera, and it had a lot of outside forces influencing how they would act, and I just really loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I adored it. It was so good. I can't wait to read more books by Casey McQuiston, because if that was her debut and it was that good, I'm so pumped to read whatever else she comes out. The next book that I read on my Kindle app was Verity by Colleen Hoover. I'm sorry if you can see all the smudge marks on it, but this cover is black, so you can see every little thing. But there, that's what the cover looks like. Now, Verity, I have kind of mixed feelings on Verity. It was very good, and I did fly through it in like a couple days, only because I had to go to school and work. But after reading the ending, it changed my entire opinion on what happened in the book. And this is a book by Colleen Hoover, who typically writes romance and new adult romance, to be exact. And this book is a thriller, a mystery thriller, and you follow this girl named Lowen, who is kind of in a rut financially, and she is offered the opportunity to ghostwrite for the writer who is an author of a popular series. And you know, she takes it because she kind of needs the money at the moment, but as she is looking for the notes on the next book in the series, because the author had an accident and can no longer write, She comes across this manuscript of an autobiography, and things kind of escalate from there. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars because I didn't like the ending and some of the things that happened towards the end. Like I said, I have mixed feelings on this because while it was super creepy and I was kind of on the edge of my seat because some of the things that happened are spooky and you don't quite know what's happening. And while you're kind of going through the present, you're also getting chapters from the manuscript. It was good until the end because something happens and it's kind of open-ended now. And I'm like, well, what the fork actually happened? So that's why I didn't like it. I still really liked it. Let me just put it like that. And I'm kind of on the fence of giving it a 3.5 or 4. It's definitely not my favorite Coho book. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, I definitely think that if you like thrillers and open-ended books that you would probably really enjoy this. I know a lot of people on BookTube do, like Christine from Poland Bananas Books and Kayla from Books and Lala. I really liked it. The ending kind of threw me off a little bit. And also how fast a relationship was moving within the story. I don't know. But the creep factor was way up high, so I mean, there's that. It was good for what it is, and since this is her first thriller, I think it was really good, and it kept me hooked throughout the whole thing. So, I mean, if it sounds good to you, you'll probably enjoy it. I enjoyed it. It's just, it wasn't my favorite. How many times can I ramble about how I felt about a book? Clearly, it's a lot. The last book that I have that I read in January, I literally finished on January 31st, and that book is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. Mahurin? I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but yes. So this book follows a girl who is a witch, and she lives in a world where witches are burned at the stake because this world does not want witches around at all. They think they're evil creatures, and they have no heart, and they always try to screw you over. So she's been in hiding for a while, and something happens, and she ends up married to a Chaucer. I say Chaucer, but it's probably Chaucer because it's French. There's a lot of French words in here, even though it's not explicitly said that it's set in France, but you know, there's that. I gave this book, I don't know. I originally gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and then I sat with it for a little bit, and I gave it 4.5. So, I don't know. I flew through it. I really enjoyed it. I actually think I am going to boost it back up to a 5 because thinking on it, I don't think I have any complaints about it. I thought the pacing was good. I liked the relationship developing between the two people who ended up married together. This book, and I just really enjoyed it. I liked the complexity of the world. I liked how the relationship developed, and I liked the ending and all of the people you found out who they actually are. I just found it really fascinating, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's very atmospheric. I felt like I was in this world with them, which is a little bit scary because witches are burned at the stake. If you find out that, you know, there's a witch, you're a witch, you get burned at the stake. So it felt very Salem witch trials, but I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read the next book. I will say one thing at the end that kind of irked me is the pacing of one of the big reveals at the end. I'm trying not to spoil it, but if you've read this, you know the thing you're waiting to happen, the whole of the book that happens, I felt like it was resolved too quickly, in the sense that the reaction from the character I felt like was resolved quickly. And I feel like something like that should have taken at least a little bit longer because it was such a huge thing and such like a world-changing thing and a belief system changing type of thing. And I don't feel like we got enough of that. But there is going to be another book, and probably several, to be honest with you. I'm not sure how long this series is going to be, but I'm 1000% super, super pumped to read the next book. So that was all of the books I read in January. I read 5 total. Well, okay, so technically I finished 3 and I stopped reading 2. But of the books that I actually finished, I read 1,267 pages. And the 2 that I didn't read, I got a chunk of the way through both of them. So it's probably closer to like 1,500, but I'm not going to count those. So whatever. That's very complicated, but you know, it's fine. So now I'm going to talk you through some of the books that I plan to read in the month of February, since today is February the 3rd. I think it is the 3rd. Yeah, it's the 3rd. So the first book that I am reading in the month of February is actually on my Kindle, and that is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is a big old hefty book, and I've been interested in it for a while. So I bought it the other day. It was only $5, and considering the fact that it is 835 pages according to my Kindle, then I'm okay with that, because it would have taken up a really chunky space on my shelf, and I have limited shelf space at the moment. So I bought it on, Kindle. So here's it. I am only like 14 pages in, so I haven't gotten very far. I like it so far. I'm finding it a little bit confusing to go through the different perspectives that it follows, but I think that's something that I'll get used to as I read, because like I said, I'm only like 14 pages in. But so far, I really like it. I'm super pumped to see where the story goes. I've heard great things about it. So yeah, that's the first book, and I'm not too sure what it's about. I know it's a fantasy, and I know that it's a standalone. So if that interests you, be sure to check it out. I know it has to do with dragons. We've already seen one in the 14 pages that I've been through. So yeah, that's the first book. So the next book I have to share with you guys is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. This cover is forking gorgeous. I am obsessed with not only this cover, but just you wait until you see this one. It is beautiful. I'm so obsessed with it. Oh. And yes, I have started it, so you can see my lovely little Central Perk bookmark in it, because I love Friends a lot. But yeah, so this book follows Emily. She absolutely loves to cook. It's one of her passions in life. And she is actually a teen mom. So she had a baby when she was, I think, a sophomore and junior in high school. And she is now in her senior year, I believe. And it's just about her and, what she wants to do with her life, and coming to terms with the fact that she does have a daughter to think about. And I think that this is something that we're going to have a lot more of a conversation about, because people are starting to have babies younger. I know a lot of people that I went to high school with already have multiple children, so I really like the fact that this is coming from a perspective that we don't often see in books, especially young adult. So yeah, I'm super pumped to read this and tell you guys what I think. I like it so far. I like the fact that it started out with a recipe. I just found that super interesting. I love cooking. I love baking. I like baking more than cooking, and I have to be in the mood to cook, so definitely not the case for her. So yeah, I'm super pumped to read this and tell you guys what I think about it, because I'm super pumped. The next book on this list is one that I had every intention of reading last year and just didn't get around to it. And that book is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. This is the sequel to Scythe. It is book 2 in the Arc of the Scythe series. And I flew through Scythe last year. I read it in July for one of the readathons, and I couldn't tell you why I haven't gotten to this yet. I think it's because the Toll just came out, and I kind of want to wait until the paperback edition comes out so it'll match the first 2 I have, because they are obviously paperbacks, because I'm late to the series. What a surprise. But yeah, so this book follows the events of Scythe, and I don't want to give too much away, but basically this world is one that has developed into a place where no one really dies of natural causes. Like, death isn't a thing unless one of the scythes comes and kills you, or gleans you, as they call it. So basically it's a dystopian world where humans don't get sick anymore. They don't really die. There's places where they can bring you back to life, and you can also reverse your age to look younger than you actually are. So basically we've mastered death, and the only way to die is if one of the scythes gleans you. And, there's a lot that happens inside. It's so good. It's such an intriguing world, but this is such an intriguing world, and I'm super pumped to read this so that I can read The Toll, because that came out at the end of last year, and I'm super, super pumped to get to it. So excited. I'm so excited. Oh, I also forgot to mention that this book follows 2 people who are being trained to become a scythe. So they're an apprentice to a scythe, and The thing is, only one of them will be granted the opportunity to become a scythe, and that person, whoever it is that wins, either Citra or Rowan, whoever wins has to kill the other. So there's also that. Forgot to mention that, I'm sorry. So the next book on this list I included just because I have to read it for school. And while I have to read things constantly, I kind of wanted to add this just because I have the physical copies of the books I have to read for this class. And it's not a short story. It's a full-fledged novel. I'm constantly reading short stories for either my intermediate fiction writing class or my English degree in general. And this book is part of my intro to narrative class, and it is called We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. And I just found this cover so A, creepy, and B, just kind of beautiful in a Tim Burton kind of way. But I couldn't tell you what it's about, so I'm just going to read you the inside flap of this because the last line of this is what really caught my attention and why I kind of wanted to include it on this list because I think I'm going to end up liking it. But it says, "My name is Mary Catherine Blackwood. I am 18 years old and I live with my sister Constance. I have often thought that with any luck at all, I could have been born a werewolf because the two middle fingers on both my hands are the same length, but I've had to be content with what I had. I dislike washing myself and dogs and noise. I like my sister Constance and Richard Plantagenet, probably pronounced that right, wrong, and Amanita phalloides, the death cup mushroom. Everyone else in my family is dead." So I just felt like it took a turn at the end of that synopsis, or at least the little, thing on the inside flap. So I just thought that I would include this in case I end up really liking it. I can tell you whether I liked it or not. But yeah. And the last book I have to share with you guys is a historical fiction, which I don't really read any. I don't think I've read any historical fiction that I know of. And this author in general gets a lot of hype. And that book is Salt to the Sea by Rita Sepetys. This book is about a group of characters who are on board the Wilhelm Gustloff, which apparently was 3 times deadlier than the Titanic. Sorry, 6 times deadlier than the Titanic. But the back of it says, "Winter 1945, 4 refugees, 4 secrets. Each one born of a different homeland, each one hunted and haunted by tragedy, lies, war. As thousands desperately flock to the coast in the midst of a Soviet advance, 4 paths converge, vying for passage aboard the Wilhelm Gustloff, a ship that promises safety and freedom. But not all promises can be kept." So I'm super pumped to read this. I'm super pumped to read from a genre and an author that I haven't really read before. So I've heard great things about A, this book, and B, this author in general. So I'm hoping to find a new genre and a new author that I can read from, because I know she has quite a few books. The one that came out most recently being Fountains of Silence. And yeah, so I am super pumped to get to this, and I figured January was a good place to start because this cover just seems very January to me, and the fact that it's winter 1945. So I don't know. I'm very interested to see what this book is actually about. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know what books you A, read in January, and B, would like to read in February. Have you read any of the books on my list? Are you interested in any of them? Did you not like any of them? Let me know in the comments down below. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!